Hi everyone, welcome to my newest house building video. Today we are building a haunted house, as is pretty obvious from the title of this video, or will be anyway, once I've uploaded it. This haunted house is fairly big. It is on a 64 by 64 lot in the town of Windenburg, just in case you're wondering. It's the first haunted house that I've built in The Sims 4. I used to build them quite a lot in The Sims 3. The Sims 3 was quite fun to build haunted houses in because if you had certain packs in the debug tools, you get like fog effect emitters and kind of like some cool stuff like that that just made the haunted houses kind of that extra bit creepier. In The Sims 4 at launch, it was pretty difficult to make a haunted house. Like, you could do it, but it was pretty much just a regular house with darker colours. It wasn't, and maybe like slightly more pointy roofs. It could still have the creepy effects, but it was limited to how far you could go with it. Before I built this house, I did buy the pack. What packs was it? Vampires and also the Realm of Magic. Definitely a lot of items in there that I used throughout this build to kind of make it a little bit extra creepy. This house is pretty much perfect if your Sims are vampires, as there's plenty of rooms that are just specific for vampires, and there's also an organ room, obviously for the creepy music from that instrument. It's quite cool actually that they put the organ in the game. Actually, I thought that was a cool feature. And also from the haunted houses I've seen, I've seen quite a few like in cartoons, a couple in films, and also from like going to Disneyland and places like that. And there's a couple like key features that they all have that I kind of tried to incorporate, sort of that being the organ. Also the kind of like whenever you go into haunted houses, you have like a big staircase. They also have, I don't know if this is just me, but for some reason I always think a haunted house should have like a long hallway with like a creepy door at the end. It's usually like in the attic somewhere, so we've got that here as well. And at the end of that hallway is actually quite a creepy room. It's a kid's room, but it's kind of like all messed up and like tipped over. And I actually play tested this house, and when I play tested it, if you make your sim evil in the game, they can actually destroy some of the toys. So like the dolls' houses, you can actually destroy them, and it gives it such a creepy look. I've got a screenshot that you'll see at the end of the video of like the room with all the stuff that's been destroyed in it. In terms of like if you download the house, it has got a lot of bedrooms, so you could definitely get like a family in here, but you probably wouldn't. Like, it's definitely meant to be played with as like 2 or 3 vampires, or even more fun than that, maybe if you start as one sim and maybe like they've inherited this house and they plan to renovate it. That would be quite cool as well, to see someone try and renovate this house. It'd be quite a big renovation project, but it would also be quite a satisfying one as well, because it is actually quite a nice building. If you can see past like the grime, the dirt, the cracks in the walls, they haven't shown up yet, but there will be cracks and stuff in the walls. Here's the interesting thing about this house though. Obviously the Sims 4 Paranormal came out this year. And I did use the pack as well in this build, but I didn't use it perhaps as much as I could have, just because some of the furniture in it just didn't fit quite how well this particular house is. So this is definitely like a Victorian house, but it's almost got like Tudor vibes as well. It's in Windenburg, so I feel like it fits the town of Windenburg pretty well. It does stand out a little bit just because it's a bit newer than some of the really Tudorish like type housing, but in general it fits quite well. But yeah, in the end it turns out to be quite a cool, like I think quite haunted, spooky looking building. There is also a pool in the backyard, but before you go, oh, what haunted house has a swimming pool? This one doesn't have a working swimming pool, and the way that you do that is you basically just put a basement, and then you take obviously the roof or like the ceiling away, however you want to do it. I think you have to take them both away, and then you kind of delete the floor bit, and then you kind of just left with like an open pit. And it's the same as, it looks like a pool basically, but without the water. And then I think it was with Strangerville, the one which comes with the Stranger stuff. You can get like the stain marks on the floor, and you just put them in it, and then it looks like there's like a puddle of water just lying there because it's built up as it's rained. But in general, like, the pool is not usable. There's also like a secret passage leading from the pool into the house, so you can actually go from the pool to the house, which I think was another cool aspect. Currently on the screen, I don't know if you just saw it, but that was the little hallway in the top floor. Fun fact, it all makes more sense as you see the build go on. Now, unfortunately, I did have about 5 hours of footage, and I could have sped up the footage to like 16 times speed to get it all in, but I decided to keep it at 8 times speed and just crop out quite a lot of the build, and mainly because it wasn't all that interesting to watch. Like, I was watching it back and I was just like, you know what? Watching people furnish bedrooms, like, especially when there's not much going on with the way they're furnished, like, they're pretty basic, not really that interesting to watch. So I just kept in like the main bits, which is like the actual build itself. And we do move the house, as you can see on the screen. So the house does get moved position as well slightly. But yeah, it ends up being quite an eventful build, but it was good fun as well. The landscaping also turned out really well. And it's really hard in this game to landscape because, especially the bigger the lot, the harder it is to landscape because all the lots are flat. And you kind of just have to use your imagination of where hills could potentially be. But obviously they can't be too big because you wouldn't just get a random mountain on a flat... Well, I don't know. Maybe you can get random mountains on flat plains. But in general, like, from the countryside that I've seen, the mountains kind of flow one into each other. And it's quite hard to kind of create that realistic effect in The Sims. So you kind of have to just do like shallow mountains, but they still look quite cool anyway. Well, and I say mountains, more like hills than mountains, but you know what I mean. I hope you know what I mean. Because if you don't know what I mean, well, I don't know. Then let me know you don't know what I mean. But I was going to add a maze in the back garden, but then took the maze away and then decided to put the pool here. I did want to put a maze in the build somewhere, but I never really found a spot for it. So in the end, the garden kind of has like this pool, and then either side of it is like some orchids, whatever they're called. It's like a cherry farm basically on either side. And I thought that was cool because I know when you're like a vampire in this game, you need to grow things like ambrosia to kind of, I think that lets you revive Sims, so it's probably quite a popular thing people want to grow. So yeah, there's that if you need it. As you can see, we skipped some of the landscaping in the back just because it was quite tedious and boring. Like, I ended up building the pool like 3 times just till I was happy with it. So yeah, we skipped that bit. And then here's some more landscaping in the back. I like to put paths around the entire house. Just it kind of gives it more like an estate kind of feel. So that, like, you could imagine like the workers would use them access points for like gardening or whatever you want to use it for. But I just felt like it gave it more a realistic vibe. And then doing the terrain paints, as you can see. And then just adding some more pathways. Obviously this house was built before cars were a thing, so didn't need to include them, which was nice for a change. Normally I like to add a car into my builds, but this time we didn't need to worry because it didn't look weird because this house would have been built obviously before the car. I mean, I guess you could have had like stables for a horse and carriage, but there wasn't really enough space on the lot for that. Obviously we used the trees without leaves and stuff, the dead trees. And now we're just doing the basement. This is where the vampire would sleep. I think there's 3 coffins for them to sleep in. I didn't really know what else to put down here because, like, if I was playing the game, I wouldn't really spend much time down there because it's not very nice. I don't know, playing in basements in this game just doesn't feel that fun. So it's up to you really. I guess you could, if you were renovating this place, maybe you just go to the basement altogether, as it doesn't really add to the house. In my opinion, it just sort of, I put it in there because most haunted houses have like a basement, so I figured this would be no exception. I was going to add some more rooms down here, but then I thought, nah, let's just keep the basement nice and simple. So there you go, there's the coffin, goes to the coffin room. I think I was going to add like laundry stuff down here, but I didn't in the end because it didn't really fit. Like, it didn't really fit properly down there, so we just don't add it. There's cobwebs all over the house. If you don't like spiders, and you download this house and you want to put your Sims in it, definitely would recommend getting rid of the cobwebs. But then again, if you are renovating this house, then the cobwebs wouldn't really be an issue because you'd probably just delete all the furniture in the room anyway. So the cobwebs would be part of that furniture that would get deleted, because in this Sims, a cobweb counts as furniture, not as a cobweb. Well, actually, it counts as like a decoration. I don't know. You know what it means. Another thing I was going to ask as well, comment below if you want to see this, but I was thinking maybe to renovate this house myself as well. I thought that might be quite fun to do like a renovation of this build into a house where actually you would want to live in. I don't know, maybe people want to see that. It'd be quite hard to do because the way this house is designed is to be spooky. So turning a house that looks scary into one that doesn't look scary might be quite challenging. Or it might be quite easy because I haven't tried. But yeah, we just add in the dark tones inside, so like the dark woods, the red panellings, the red panelling. And then we put like this in the atrium entrance, grand entrance hall, whatever you call them. We'll add like almost like an internal balcony. I believe they call it like a mezzanine, but it's not really a mezzanine. I don't know. It's basically a balcony inside. And it looks quite cool because you can imagine how creepy it would be if you come in the house and then suddenly behind you, you just see someone stood looking at you. I don't know, if it was me, I'd probably be more creeped out that someone had just walked into my house, but you know what I'm going for, like, you can like, I imagined building this house where it'd be like for maybe like a group of friends, and they're like, this is the house that everyone knows about in the neighbourhood, but no one dares go visit. And then one day, like, a group of friends decide, oh, we can visit this place. Like, it's not scary to us. And then they walk in and they're scared almost straight away. Like, you can just, I could just imagine that the whole time I was building it. Like, I kind of was like, what would I find scary if I was to use this house? And like, maybe people think I'm going mad, but you might think this house isn't scary. You might like the way it looks, and that's a good thing as well. So one annoying thing about The Sims 4 is when you put a railing on the staircase, it automatically puts it on both sides. You can't pick if you just want it on, say, the right-hand side or the left-hand side. And the reason it's annoying is because you can see on that staircase there is a banister or railing down the middle. Obviously, I don't want that there, but in order to get that effect where the two staircases kind of separate at the top, one goes right, one goes left, you have to have that railing because it's actually two separate staircases. Although it looks like one big staircase, it's actually two next to each other. That's how you create that effect. There's no other way to do that effect. You have to have the railing there, or you have no railing at all. And I thought having the railing down the middle looked better than not having a railing at all. So yeah, if anyone's wondering why there's a railing down the middle of the staircase, I don't want it there, but it is there. So here's the dining room. This is one of the few rooms that you'd easily furnish. The dining room, I went for like a green theme. The chairs do change colour. I think the chairs change colour. I'm fairly sure they do. It was about 3 weeks ago I built this house, so now we're in the living room. I'm pretty sure I changed colour of the chairs because they don't really suit. Well, they don't. Yeah, there we go. change them to green. I decided to make the dining room green because I don't want every room in the house to be red, because then everything just looks the same. So having like a green dining room kind of broke up the kind of red theme going on. And also, green's it's not my favourite colour, but for a dining room, it's not my favourite colour either. But for a haunted dining room, I think green is the way to go. And then we're just adding like, sometimes like I randomly see a bit of furniture in the catalogue and I think, oh, I want to use that, but just not in this room. So I'll place it in the room that I think it will work. And then when I go to furnish that room, I'll see that bit of furniture and be like, all right, how am I going to incorporate it in? As you can see there. So one thing about this house, actually, the basement, there's 3 ways into the basement. There's the main way, which is that staircase. It's just behind the entrance hall, and that actually is accessible from the outside only. And the idea is it's supposed to be like a storage area for the garden, but it's just got turned into a basement over the years. But there's also like a passageway from the basement to the pool, so you can actually, because the pool's got no water in it, your Sims can actually walk in there using the ladder, and then you can access the basement through the pool, which is quite cool. It's like a secret entrance. And then in the greenhouse room, which is next to the living room, which is just being built at the moment, there's another staircase there. So it's almost like at night the vampires come out, and like if you were in the house as a resident, you might not know they're there, and they could kind of creep you out because it's like all the vampires are asleep during the day and maybe you don't even know that they're there. But all of a sudden you're asleep and then there's a vampire in your room. Like, I think that would be pretty creepy as well. One thing I really liked about I think it is the Vampires pack, is the doors and windows that came with it. They are a little bit small, which makes sense if you're building a vampire, like a haunted house, because you don't want too much light coming in. And I think the window, especially, the doors anyway, I really like those kind of arched doors, because you used to have arched doors like that in The Sims 3, and I've been waiting for them to come to The Sims 4, and Vampires came out quite a while ago, but they're the closest I think we're going to get to those arched doors that I used to use all the time in The Sims 3. And then here's the kitchen. Quite a lot of fireplaces and stuff in this house, and then they've all got chimneys as well. And then also where I put the kitchen, the oven has a chimney above it. Like, obviously you can't see it on this level, but when you look at the house from an external point of view, you'll see a chimney in the same place. Like, it goes from the roof down to where the oven would be. And I thought that was quite cool to just to add that bit of realism. You don't need to do it that way. Doesn't require a chimney, the oven, but I figured it's an old house. It probably would have originally had a chimney there, because it would have been there would have been almost like a fire down there. So hence why there's a chimney there. And also all the fireplaces themselves have chimneys. But yeah, I do cut out quite a lot of the build, so you don't really see much more rooms after this. Like, you will see the kids' room get built, because I feel like that was probably the creepiest room apart from the ones on the main floor. Because I feel like, I don't know, like bedrooms, like, I don't know, you can make bedrooms creepy, but you can't really in this game. And when you go to a haunted house, like, you don't really go in the bedrooms. Like, I don't know where you go. Actually, I've never been in a haunted house. So I'm just sort of rambling on now. This is kind of like a secret room, actually. You see the ladder coming up to it. That's the only way into it. And to get to it, you have to go through the office downstairs, through one of those bookcase doors, which is quite cool. And up there, you've got like the vampiric encyclopedia. They actually are in there as well, because I playtested the house and added the book in there. So when you download this house, one of those bookshelves is just full of the vampire encyclopedias. But anyway, here's the kids' room. As you can see, the dolls' houses have gone in. And I mean, that's pretty much the build. I'll post obviously screenshots as well at the end of the video. But I just want to say thank you for watching. And thank you for, if you can, drop a like on the video and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. I know quite a lot of people maybe do builds like this, but I try and make mine a bit different. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe.